and all the beauty that life can hold will surely be yours and mine.
Hi, I'm Sandra.
I'm Lamar. This video is about our 34-day, 500 and something mile Camino Santiago Compostela on the French Way.
And we're going to talk about a little bit about logistics, but mostly we're going to talk about what we learned and what worked for us on this awesome trip.
It was a beautiful trip, and we're recently retired, so instead of staying in alburgues and counting grams, we decided to use Camino Ways to transport our luggage for us and to book all our hotels for us, which took a lot of stress out of the trip. Sandra?
Yeah, we stayed in a lot of really nice hotels. We did the Superior Collection with Camino Ways, and it was great. They carried our luggage, they booked the hotels. Most of our meals were included in the package, so there were no worries for us. All we had to do was walk from point A to point B.
If you like a private room with your own private bathroom and still enjoy the Camino, this video is for you. Anything else, Sandra?
Watch out for the cows.
That's right. Watch out for the cows. So Sandra and I stayed 2 extra days in Saint Jean Pied-de-Port before we began, and I highly recommend coming a day at least early to sightseeing this beautiful medieval town that has it was a walled city. It's just a fantastic place to visit. And the Central Hotel, if you get the side of the hotel with the balcony overlooking the river, ooh-wee. Living in Saint Jean Pied-de-Port in the Pyrenees, we chose to follow the Napoleon route over the mountains. This was our hardest day with 4,627 feet total elevation.
And these views were really beautiful. It made us forget how high we were climbing because it was so gorgeous. And then we got to stop and have a coffee and a little bit of Basque dessert, which was really delicious. And to go and use the facilities you're going to see in a minute. This is the outhouse coming around here. So it was always nice to run into one of those. And there weren't very many along the way until you came to the town. Of course, if you have to go to the bathroom and you're out in open like this, you're going to have to hold it. Or you're going to have to find a rock or something to hide behind.
Religiously used our Diamondback Carbon Z trekking poles. They came in so handy on this trip. They performed flawlessly. Okay, this is the top of the pass at 1,430 meters elevation. Okay, 2.5 miles into day 2. Pretty flat. Nothing like yesterday, except for that pretty girl.
Day 2 was easier than day 1. And we got, after day 1, we were in Roncesvalles. And the day was easier. As you can see, we were mostly going downhill, and we didn't have to walk as far either. And the views were beautiful. The towns were beautiful. And this town was sort of modern, but a lot of the towns were still like medieval villages. And we went through the woods. Those are some people we met along the way. That was a very rocky path. Wear your sunscreen. We had to put sunscreen on because, as you can see here, some people have tans and some people have no tans.
Sunburn.
So they need to wear sunscreen.
Some of the hotels we stayed in, like Zubiri, was a solid stone, like 3 foot thick stone walls.
We were walking, and while you're walking, you're looking at the countryside, which is beautiful, and you're going to see a lot of different crops. We were actually you'll be in Basque Country when you start, which they have great food, and it's different to be in Basque Country, and you'll see a lot of signs about freedom, and you need to read about that political movement. Old stone bridges, constructed by the Romans. We went over a lot of those. And this was our hotel in Pamplona, which was really nice. Pamplona is a big city. You can get anything you need there. The cathedral was gorgeous, and they had a tour. And Pamplona had a lot of nightlife, even though we went to bed probably at 8 o'clock. We didn't experience it. And one thing on our trip, we never saw the stars at night. One thing we missed out on because we always went to bed early because we were so tired.
It's almost impossible to pick our favorite days, but walking out of Pamplona, it was so beautiful. We're on day 4, 5.26 miles. We're out in farmland. It is so sunny. And it's probably near 80 or 80 something degrees. And it's supposed to get to 85.
I'll be here waiting. I'll be here waiting.
8.2 miles into day 4. We're almost to the top of the hill where the windmills are. We've been climbing from that village way down there. Okay, 30 minutes ago we were up there on top of that hill, and we've been sliding down rocks all the way down here. Rocks like this and worse. It was a constant job, more or less, picking our path through the rocks and on the double tracks to try to find the easiest, softest way to go because our feet were so sore.
As we were walking through the villages, we noticed we were always looking at the churches, and we noticed almost every church steeple there were stork nests with baby storks in it. So that was good to see. They were cute, and there were a lot of snails, which were beautiful, all different shapes and kinds, and all different kinds of flowers. So there were a lot of photo ops, and you can see that people along the way have a sense of humor. a lot of rivers, a lot of beautiful architecture, old stuff. We were amazed at how old the stuff was we were looking at back in medieval times. And you could even see some of the more influence in the town.
Everyone stops at the free wine fountain at the vineyard Bodegas Irachi. So here's another example of the kind of trails where you just never knew from 1 mile to the next what you were going to be walking on. A little bit of everything.
A little music there. The flowers were so beautiful, Lamar kept taking pictures of them.
There was an amazing variety of wildflowers everywhere. So as we walked, it seemed like all the villages were always up higher elevations, and in the towns themselves, the churches were usually at the very highest point of the town. And every town, it seemed like, had their own Catholic church.
So this is the road approaching Logroña, and as you can see, we were facing a rainstorm, and there was thunder and lightning, and of course thunder too. We were hoping to get to our hotel room before the rain started, but we didn't make it. We walked probably around a mile in the rain, but we had our umbrellas. That was all we needed. It wasn't that bad.
So in discussing the things that worked well for us, we both had Topo Athletic Terra Venture 3 shoes, which are a wide toe shoe that comes in men and women's size, and we really loved our shoes. Sandra did change her shoes halfway through each day, preferring part of the time to walk in her sandals for teens.
Flowers. And this was a nice little cafe. We had a pasta salad there that we shared. It was good. This was a relatively easy day. We didn't have to climb up very much. It was beautiful. The skies were so pretty in the clouds.
Day 9, 11 3/4 kilometers into it. Wow. Just a 360 degree, wow.
Quite a sight to see that long road ahead of us. But we made it, and looking back on it, it wasn't bad at all. We loved it. So now we're at our hotel that is next to a big church. The church is St. Domingo, and it was also a museum. And there was a bell tower. We climbed up to the top of the bell tower after walking all day. I don't know where we got the energy from. So the next day was relatively easy. The gelatos. We saw some hot air balloons. That was in the morning when we were starting out. And most of the mornings were really nice and cool, and it warmed up later in the day.
Yeah, there were probably half a dozen mornings when we woke up, the temperature was in the upper 40s. But every day it warmed up at least to 70 something and never got over 85, I don't think. I mean, I just couldn't have picked a better time to have done this trip. Yeah, all total, I think the whole 34 days, we might have received a quarter of an inch of rain. And that in spite of the weather forecast, which were saying it was going to be raining, but it just never really rained on us.
Here's another old bridge. It was almost guaranteed when we walked out of the city in the morning we were going to cross the river. That happened probably 90% of the time. The little towns had fountains for the pilgrims and, beautiful little churches. Some were locked, some were open. And there's a rocky path, and our feet were sore every night on this trip, and our legs were sore when we woke up in the morning. But after we started walking, they felt good again. I think this whole trip was good for our health and made us stronger.
Yeah, I believe I actually lost 13 pounds, and it was mostly belly fat, so it was a good thing for me. Beautiful.
Ouch.
Ooh-wee. That's a whole lot of rock.
Our feet hurt just looking at that path. Here's our hotel room. It was awesome. It was a great hotel. I think this was a 4-star. And we are finally in Burgos. And the cathedral is huge, and you can take a tour of that cathedral. There's so much to see. You'd have to stay there a week to see this. A lot of old masters visit church. And that's one thing I'd recommend before you go into a city is do a little reading about the architecture there, who built things, who the famous people were, because we didn't do that. We were just sort of doing that after the fact. So sometimes we were in a church like this and we really didn't know exactly what we were looking at, except that it was beautiful.
Okay. This is our morning leaving Burgos, heading towards Camino del Camino. A couple of little flower pot art and beautiful. This is a little small church. We almost walked by it, but we're so glad we went inside. Different kinds of flowers, and here we are at 501 kilometers from the end.
And there were beautiful roses everywhere.
This little monastery was, we walked up just as they were locking up and for the day, and she opened it up just for us. It was really a sweet one that let us in and gave us the pilgrim's blessing.
So now we're in the Meseta, which is the high, flat part of Spain, the north part of Spain. And it's hotter there. This was the hottest, this week or so that we walked on the Meseta was the hottest part of the walk. And this is the part where we didn't see many people. I guess a lot of people from Europe did the Camino and at different times. They were like section hikers. They'd come for a week and walk it, have to go back to work and come back another time and walk for a week till they finally got the whole thing done. So the Meseta is probably the least favorite part.
But we actually enjoyed it. I just couldn't get tired of any of it. I would do it again in a heartbeat. How about you?
Yeah, I would too. I mean, every day when I started walking, I was thinking how much we're going to miss this, and we better enjoy it while we're here.
What is this, our 15th day? We're walking out of Castro or something like that. And it was our favorite hotel, I think. For our 3-star hotel, I would have to bump it up to a 4. It was nice. Good food, good room, and the town is very pretty. I like it.
We walked down a lot of narrow streets in those towns from medieval times. A lot of more pretty things. We didn't know what the monuments all meant, but a lot of it was in Spanish. But it was, there's a friend that we met, our friend Joanne. She walked with us. Now and again, we would catch up with each other.
Yep, and there are lots of poppies you'll see throughout this video, just everywhere. From day one to the end, pretty much we saw poppies.
Okay, 360 video, top of the, go ahead.
It's all right.
That was a couple Sandra and I run into a lot because they stayed in some of the same hotels that we did.
Out on the Meseta, the high plateau. I think we're around 2,700 feet above sea level, but it's very flat.
Okay, we saw a lot of these concrete water troughs that ran along beside fields, and they were full of water. They were for irrigating the crops, although we could never tell how they got from the trough into the field. It wasn't obvious. Wow, the Hotel Real Monasteria Santiago. I don't know how to say this at all. You can get a laugh out of me trying.
Yeah, it was so nice because they had chanting, recorded chanting going on. And you could just imagine where you were staying, that the monks had stayed there in very different circumstances.
And it's still an active church too, a Catholic church.
Here's there was a museum there too, showing how the monks lived so austerely. Nice doors everywhere. Another bridge that used to go across the river.
There's Sandra with her keys.
And this was a nice flat day, a short, nice flat day. We ran into those every now and then. Another stork, different kind of flour, and we ate off of that truck.
Yeah, there were some days we really were grateful for vendors who showed up in the middle of nowhere, because some days there was no villages that had any food.
But every morning when we woke up, we were always looking forward to eating breakfast, because that was provided by Camino Ways. So, and you didn't have to choose what you wanted to eat. What you had to eat was put in front of you. So and it was good. There was a lot of pastries, always coffee, orange juice, fruit. Sometimes it was good.
Hmm. Well, we never really went hungry. I made it sound like there were places where we were hunger stricken, but actually except on Sundays, it seemed like Sundays there weren't many things open in the small villages, but every other day, it seemed like every 5 miles at the most, there was what they call a bar. In America, you would call it a cafe. So there was always good coffee and stuff to eat.
Yes. And another thing we haven't mentioned is in some of the towns we went to, you could see where they ran the bulls because there were gates up on the street. And I wish we could have seen some running of the bulls, but it just wasn't we weren't there on the right weekend to see it. A lot of monuments along the way. And I think Lamar got tired of going in the churches because he was taking pictures every time we went in, but I never got tired of it. We went into a lot of it. And the Spanish they're artists at growing roses, beautiful roses. This was the biggest and best room, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This my favorite town, I think, was Leon, or it looks like Leon, but they pronounce it Leon, I believe. And yeah, that was a really great hotel. I think it was a 5-star hotel.
We would have definitely taken a 0-day here if we had any. And our hotel was part of this
another
monastery.
convent. Yeah.
So, and there was another museum there. So we were sleeping right there in the middle of it. Beautiful.
Yep. I guess it's a good time to talk about Camino Ways. They put us in some really fine hotels, and some, unfortunately, it's not their fault, but some of the small villages had no high-end places to stay, so we still always had a clean bathroom and no bed bugs. But there were a few nights in 1-star hotels, but just because there was nothing else to be had. And so I give Camino Ways a good review.
Also in the small towns, it was harder to communicate what we wanted, what our questions were, what we wanted to eat, because we actually stayed in a couple of times in people's houses. And
this is one of them.
And that's one of them, yeah.
A family home.
That was beautiful, and the lady there could speak English. But sometimes you just couldn't communicate except unless you had Google Translate. We used that, and our host used that too sometimes to communicate with us. And this was one place at this place that just passed before we came to this town that they did our laundry for like €8. They did our laundry, so that was good. You could get your laundry done along the way.
It's a good time to talk about my favorite thing that I recommend people do is to carry a day pack that has a water bladder. We didn't notice very many people with water bladders, but we loved ours, and I would fill it up with 2 liters, or if it was a little longer day, I'd put a few ounces more and not have to worry about whether there was going to be potable water or not along the trail. And I've seen the people who carry their the Nigene bottles and such, and some of them would actually have to stop and take off their backpack to get to their water, and that's not conducive really to a long 20-mile hike. So I highly recommend the Camelback water bladders if you don't mind You have to just get used to biting the little valve to get a drink. But I love mine. How about you, Sandy?
Yeah, I mean, it was great having it right there. Of course, you drink a lot more water than I do. This was a rough path.
It was a
rugged.
beautiful path, but yes, one of the roughest and most beautiful.
And this is the day we took the high path, right?
No.
No, this is not that day. Okay. And this is our umbrellas we took with us, and I would recommend that you take umbrellas. And we didn't take many clothes. I had 2 shorts, 2 long pants, and about 5 shirts. And like I said, we got our laundry done. You can get your laundry done at least every 2 or 3 days. Lamar and I both got ours done for 8 to 10 euros. And I wouldn't burden myself down with a lot of luggage, really. And I took my makeup with me, but I quit using it, which was nice. I just started using sunscreen, and that was a vacation for me, not to have to do that every month.
So Ponferrada was another very nice town, but it wasn't well marked on the way out of town. We met up with another person who was from Ireland. We had both lost the Camino, so we just used Google Maps on my phone to get back onto the Camino. Like I say, Ponferrada and Burgos, those 2 places were not well marked.
And this is the time we did take the route over the mountain, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, leaving Via Franca del Bierzo, we accidentally took what they call the Camino Duro route, which is, I think that might be a word that means hard route, because it was a much more difficult route over the mountain, but the scenery made it worthwhile. So I recommend the Camino Duros.
Well, the heartbreaking part was being up. We had gained so much elevation, and then we had to lose all that elevation and come right back down to the elevation we started at. And we walked a while like that, and then on the Ocebrero, we had to climb like another 2,000 feet, right, or something like that.
So that was our second hardest day. The first day and then the day going to Ocebrero are the 2 hardest days.
In Ocebrero, I was so excited to get there because it was the Irish town, the town that had the Celtic flavor to it. So, and it was almost like being in Ireland, being in Ocebrero. And we were getting close to the end at this point.
Example of how we miraculously avoided most of the rain. It's just a coincidence that we were having second breakfast when it started, and it stopped by the time we were ready to walk.
And here's an example of almost being stepped on by a cow feet on our feet, because we were up against a fence, and these cows were coming, and I knew from being raised up on a farm myself, you did not want a cow to step on your foot. They can break it. So, but it's fun now looking back on it. I mean,
it's actually funny to us.
Yeah.
I was glad it wasn't this guy with the longhorns.
Right. And not all of them, but most of the cows and the horses and the sheep and the goats all had bells on, which made nice music.
Mm-hmm. This is another one of the solid rock wall buildings that we stayed in.
And it had been the manor for the Catholic Church that was there in this town. It was a little town.
It was one of the towns. There were 3 where we had to call for a ride to come to the Camino to take us to their business and then to return us to the Camino the next morning.
And this was the Hotel Alfonso, which was nice, had a good restaurant. And then we walked out of Soria up a long staircase, and it was a nice day. By this time, a lot of pilgrims were joining the trail.
Yeah, you only have to walk the last 100 kilometers to get the Compostela certificate. So from Soria on to Santiago, there were probably twice or 3 times as many people.
And it was sort of strange going from some days when you didn't see anybody, and now the trail could actually get crowded.
Mm-hmm.
So we stayed in this little cabin by a lake. We had to get a ride to it, like Lamar said. Sometimes we had to get a ride, but it was great. Good food. More roses. And this is an example of the crowd we were walking with.
Mm-hmm.
But it was fun. They were happy, singing, and laughing, and just a happy bunch of people to be walking the trail.
It was just such a flavorful mix of accommodations. I highly recommend every place we stayed in except for 3, and I'm not going to call them out, but they were kind of sad compared to the rest. But 3 out of 35, I give Camino Ways a thumbs up. This couple walking really inspired me. They were laughing out loud. They were heartfully laughing.
Here's a guy. The last 100 kilometers, a lot of people had their dogs with them. So that was fun. You never knew when you were going to get walked from behind, walked up on with a dog.
And I would say that our experience is probably a little different from the people doing the alburgues in another way, being we didn't have to leave at the crack of dawn and race to the next town to try to get a room. So we were usually 8:30 getting started, 8 to 9 at the latest. So it seemed like we were walking at a more relaxed pace with other people who were staying in hotels.
But one thing I'll say about us, Lamar, we walked every step of the way, because some people we walked with took taxis, and we never did. We put our foot on every foot of the Camino.
That's right. We didn't skip any of it.
No. And those little buildings you're seeing are grain storage.
Yeah, I like those things. They were, I don't know if I could pronounce that as, it's got a silent H, Oreos. And they were plentiful in the Galician, is that the last region? The Galician region.
And here's the Spanish bagpipe.
He's actually playing, so we got that out.
So we're walking into Santiago.
Mm-hmm. Well, here we are at the front, where everybody is so happy to get here. The Cathedral of Santiago.
And I have to say, I didn't cry, but I did get tears in my eyes. And I didn't think I'd care, but it was great to get there. But it was also sad because we were done.
Mm-hmm. So I just saw our Osprey backpack, the Osprey Talon day packs there. Sandra has the 20-liter size, and I have a 22-liter size, and we highly recommend them. They work perfect for us. Our fold-up trekking poles fit inside of them.
So our hotel was right on the square.
Yeah, a 5-star hotel on the square right beside the cathedral.
And we ate some good food in Santiago. Had some good meals. We tried to go to Mass, but it was too crowded. We couldn't get a seat.
Yeah,
so we didn't get
we
in there
tried.
early. Yeah,
we tried twice to get in. We went an hour early, and still there were no seats.
And then we took the bus. The next day, we took the bus to Venezuela. We didn't walk. You know, we ended our Camino in Santiago. But that was a great trip to the ocean. Beautiful. And then we had to...
We went to Madrid.
Yeah, we wound up in Madrid and got on a plane and came home.
If you like this video,
Please subscribe to our channel.